Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur Podcast. And I'm joined today by the fabulous Natalie O'Shea, who is a funnel specialist. And in this episode, we are going to be diving into why email marketing is more important than ever before in 2025. Natalie, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here on the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Glad to be here.
I'm excited to dive into this topic. I know that email marketing is big and so important. But before we do dive into the topic itself, I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit more about you, your story, and your journey.
Of course, yeah, no problem at all. I have been working for many years, so many life experiences and job experiences, from everything from running a courier franchise, employing 25 staff, and having a ball in the 20s, or my 20s and 30s, through to being a magazine editor, through to running my own business, teaching people how to make handmade cards. And it's actually that business that I did for 15 years that actually brought me to what I do now, because I kind of realised after 15 years, I lost my creative mojo and realised that actually it was all the marketing and the tech and all that bit that I really enjoyed more than making cards. So I kind of went more into teaching people how to do that. Part of the card making business was an MLM company, so I had a team of 250 that I looked after, and yeah, I kind of taught them all the business things, the how to use Pinterest, how to use a Facebook group, and all of those things. So when I kind of lost my creative mojo, I sat there and went, right, this is what I can do. This is what I'm going to share with people. I'm going to share with people how to run a business. Lots of people, they start a business because they've got a hobby that kind of takes off, or they kind of love something and it's a passion project and off it goes. But they don't know how to run a business. All the joyful things like accounts and VAT and cash flow forecasts and all the legalities and things that go with running a business. So so I kind of thought that I could help with that. So I started as a VA really 2.5 years ago. And was helping businesses in the background. But a lot of what I was doing was funnel building. So funnels in business, whether they're kind of sales funnels, but probably the first funnel that most people have that they wouldn't even perhaps call a funnel, because I know a lot of people don't like the word funnel. Yeah. Just think customer journey, is an email marketing funnel. So I kind of started setting up a lot of people's email marketing funnels, but also loads of sales funnels and all sorts of things. So after the last 2.5 years, I'm now specializing in funnels just because that's what people got me to do. So this year I'm a certified launch and funnel strategist, and I am embracing that and releasing kind of courses and sharing my knowledge and experience really with people who want to learn, but also I offer some done for you services as well. If you don't want to know, you just want to get it done, we'll do that for you as well.
Amazing. You are a woman with a wealth of knowledge, and I know that you support and help so many people. So I'm really, really interested to dive into this topic and to get your perspective on email marketing. So let's start off by quite simply saying, why is it so important now, more so than ever before? What would you say?
Well, shall we start by saying TikTok in the US?
Yes.
It might have only vanished for a little while, but there was, it was touch and go, and it did vanish for a day, and it could have vanished for longer than that. So that is one of the most important things. A lot of people will have heard before, social media, you're building your business, if you're only doing business, on borrowed land. You don't own Facebook, Instagram, these, your accounts can be suspended overnight without warning. As I say, things like TikTok can be taken away without any warning at all. I know a big business that kind of had 250,000 followers, that a
Mm.
corporate business that got hacked. They got blackmailed. They
Oh
didn't pay the
gosh.
blackmail and they had to start their account again. And like we're 2 years later and they're only up to kind of 50,000. So all these things, you've got Mr. Zuckerberg in bed with Mr. Trump, and we're not going to go political, but they're sitting there saying that we're going to start doing less to manage what's going on. And I think more and more people are just a little bit social media drained.
Yeah.
And I think with all these things going on, all the TikTokers are going to sit there and go, oh, hang on a minute, I need to make sure I've got another place where I can speak to my audience, so that if these things happen and they do vanish or they suspend my account or anything like that, that they've actually got somewhere to go. So that's kind of the primary reason. But there are a few others as well. Algorithms are becoming increasingly unpredictable, ad costs are increasing, results are decreasing. Yeah, there's lots of reasons. But with an email, with you sending an email into someone's email inbox, it's normally a space that they've opted into. They've come in through a lead magnet. They want to hear from you. They're not just scrolling through and wondering who Facebook or Instagram are going to pop into their feed. They've kind of gone, I'm interested in what you've got to offer. I'm in your inbox. Talk to me. And often people will check their emails daily as well. I mean, I'm a multiple day checker, but I also am horrified by some of the thousands and thousands of emails in some people's inboxes as well. But let's hope that if they've kind of opted in to hear from you, then they actually look at their emails, which they do as well. And it's actually a more personalised way to connect as well, because everything's just growing noisier, more automated, less personal. And I think you can share a bit more in a kind of emails can be as long or as short as you want them to be. So I think you can get a little bit more personal with your connection with your audience through email as well.
Absolutely. I always find that with looking at my own email list, I always find it as that is my exclusive space, for non-paying clients, of course, but
Yeah.
that's my exclusive space. And I always try to really, personalize emails and allow to share more details or more elements or parts of my story, for example, that I wouldn't necessarily share on social media, or
Yeah.
you do it in a slightly different way. And I know we're going to dive into loads of ways of how to really utilize email marketing, but I love what you said about the fact that, it is very noisy online and there are a lot of risks to social media. And in fact, it gives me anxiety when one of my clients says to me that they don't have an established email list yet. And when I say established, I mean, it doesn't matter how many are on that list, but as long as you're focusing on it and growing it gradually, that's completely okay. You don't need thousands and thousands and thousands of email subscribers, especially if they're non-active. But really, really interesting. So there's a lot of changes in social media. And like you said, the algorithm, the reach is really low. I had this conversation with someone else earlier today on another podcast episode. Really, really low reach at the moment. I think it's frustrating people an awful lot. So almost as if it gives us the perfect opportunity to put more emphasis on our list building, right? And focusing on that email marketing. So how have changes in social media and online marketing really made email a more reliable strategy for businesses?
Okay. Well, I mean, social media is still great for visibility. I mean, let's still say we're not saying do away with social media,
No, of
only
course
have
not.
emails. Although I would actually say if you only have a restricted amount of time to spend on your marketing, then email should be the number one priority above social media. But that's what I think. But I mean, just to give some perspective on that as well, and what you've just kind of said, most people don't realise that only 3 to 4% of your followers on Instagram get to actually see your posts, even though they're following you. These aren't people that
Yeah,
aren't following you. 3 to 4%. Whereas you
so
compare
low.
that to email marketing, and that can be anything from 20 to 70%
Yeah.
of people that are actually seeing your email. So there's a massive kind of difference there. So if that isn't enough to kind of sit and say, get on your email list.
Yeah,
Then that
exactly.
is. But yeah, there are kind of changes going in. So yeah, as I said, organic reach is declining. We've already talked about suspension and removal of accounts. But yeah, not competing with an algorithm. You don't compete with an algorithm in your email marketing. And once someone's on your list, they're kind of there to
Yes.
nurture and engage. And if they're not interested in what you have to offer, then they'll unsubscribe, and that's absolutely fine. We shouldn't be scared of unsubscribers as well. I know we work hard to grow our list, but unsubscribers are a fact of life, and if they're not interested, then they're not for you, and they should be off your list.
Mm.
But something I did kind of want to bring up as well, which I sat in a room and I mentioned this, and the women around me were all horrified because obviously, if you're using an email service provider, now what I mean by that is someone like MailerLite, Mailchimp, any of those kind of email marketing providers, Kit and Flowdesk or other ones, they can vanish overnight as well. I mean,
Yeah.
let's not sit there and say, well, what about them? They can vanish as well. Absolutely, they can. And that is why you should, and here's the clanger that everyone went, you need to download your list occasionally. And when I say occasionally,
Yeah.
it does depend on how quickly your list grows. So if you are having 10 people join your list a month, then once a month with your kind of end of month jobs or beginning of month jobs, just put it in there that you download your subscribers and you just keep them safe somewhere. If you are having 100 or 1,000 people a day, then it needs to be a more regular thing. You need to be doing it every 1 or 2 days because you don't want to lose those people. And nobody was downloading their list in the room. It was like, so that's my kind of big point. If you're nothing else out of this podcast episode, is just make sure that you download your list of subscribers. Because if your email servicing provider for any reason did go down, then you've got your list, you've got your contacts, and you just join another one and upload your list and you're off again. That happens with Instagram or Facebook and your account vanishes or they vanish overnight, you have nothing.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to do that today. And I bet there are so many listeners listening to this episode right now thinking, oh, I'm going to,
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to
do
take
that.
action on
And
that
it
and
gets
actually
only
download my
hooked
list.
at it because you just kind of think it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And I don't want to sit there and go, oh, Facebook and Instagram can go down, but no, email service providers can't. Of course they can. Businesses go bust and these things happen. So yeah, no, that's my kind of number one point is just make sure you download them on a regular basis.
Absolutely. So email marketing, as we know, is incredible to, to ultimately to allow people to get to know you, to nurture them, and obviously to convert. And ultimately, as business owners, we want to be able to convert through our email lists, as well as through social media and networking and all the other, all the other ways. So when it comes to email marketing, why is this one of the most effective ways to convert rather than
Um,
social media?
so we've kind of mentioned, those stats speak for themselves, 20 to 70%. I mean, often 50% and above is quite a normal, but I'm giving a bigger range of people are actually seeing your post. So even if you've got kind of, 100 people on your email or 100 followers versus 100 emails, you've got 3 to 4 people seeing your social media posts. You've got 20 to 70 people reading your email. So there's a massive kind of difference there, even if you've got a really small audience on both kind of sections. But the main kind of reasons is intent. When someone subscribes to your email list, they're expressing an interest in you, in your brand, what you do, and they want to hear from you. As I say, you're not just scrolling by in a sea of many other people. They're like, oh, there's an email from Kayleigh. What's she got to tell me today?
Yes. Yeah.
And they're interested. They want to hear from you. So, I mean, you've already mentioned that emails allow for deeper storytelling, more personalised communication. As I say, social media posts can be scrolled by, but emails feel kind of more direct and focused. So, yeah, it's just you're there. People want to hear from you. And generally, something sits in someone's email inbox until they've done something with it. So, if they haven't read it, it stays in their inbox. When they have read it, then they decide to either file it or delete it. But it sits there until they action it. Social media posts, they're scrolling past, they've missed it, it's gone, and that's it.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's why conversions are better on email marketing.
Absolutely. It's such a great opportunity, isn't it, to convert? But like you said, to nurture, to then convert into sales. Obviously, your open rate's more opportunity for people to see it, to take people on, whether it's the buyer's journey or whatever funnel you're kind of guiding them through, which actually leads on to my next point, actually, because a lot of people use email marketing for funnels, for, sales funnels and emails funnels, etc. And I'd love to get your stance on this in terms of, with automations, it allows us to quite simply take people on that buyer's journey. But also with automations and also even the use of AI, for example, it can potentially lose that personal touch in how we communicate with our audience through emails. Is there any advice that you would give, or what's your take on that side of things, either AI and automations?
I love both. That's my stance on them. Anything that makes life easier and makes things that you don't have to do manually is always a good thing in my eyes. So AI, I have to say, I mean, a lot of people, and if you don't even know what AI is these days, you've got things like ChatGPT, Claude, you've got Google launching Gemini now. Do you know what? I think they are excellent as a starting block. So
Yes.
I absolutely don't recommend that you just kind of go, hi, I need to write a newsletter today to my audience. What should I say? Especially with free versions as well. So like the free version of ChatGPT, I find a little bit Americanized. They do kind of
Yeah,
navigate the seas of things.
absolutely.
And it's great for getting ideas. So if you can sit there and say, hi, ChatGPT, give me some newsletter ideas. What should I write to? This is what I'm covering. This is what I'm selling this month, this quarter. What kind of things could I be talking about? Then that is great. But never just copy and paste. Just take it, ask it to write the email for you if you want to, but absolutely personalize it throughout afterwards, because it needs to sound like you. And none of these kind of AIs can replace you and that personal, the way you speak, the way you teach things. They'll give you an idea, but absolutely no, just tweak it. So I'm a big fan for AI for ideas, for writing stuff as a starting point to edit. And yeah, I love them, recommend them. Complete time saver. Automations, oh my god, my life is about automations. Why on earth would you sit there and manually do things or not do things because it takes too long, you have to do it manually or anything like that? So automations can be anything from adding a tag to segment your list. So people who have bought this course, people who are interested in this, people who have downloaded this lead magnet, so that you can follow up later with more personalized emails, perhaps just to that group. So perhaps you did a mini course in something, but then you've launched a bigger course that kind of follows on from that. You can just tag that segment. You can just email them and go, hi, I know you did the first mini course, just wanted to let you know this was launching, and perhaps tell them before other people as well to make them feel a little bit special. Or if you're kind of a product-based business, then it could be they bought a particular something and you're launching something that goes with that would complement that, that is a replacement of that because you don't do that anymore. Again, you can kind of automate because they've got these tags or they're in this segment that you can just email them. But it's not just that. When someone signs up for your lead magnet, you don't want to be sitting there going, oh, blimey, someone signed up for my lead magnet. Hold on, I've got to find it. I've got to send it to them. It should all be automatic. So the whole procedure of automation behind a lead magnet or signing up for a discount code or, whatever it is that you're kind of putting people in the top of your funnel with, is all automated, and it's going on. Doesn't matter what you're too busy running your business to worry about them right now, but it automates adding a tag or a segment to them. It then automates delivering whatever it is that you have said. Here's what, do you fancy this? This is great, here you go. But you shouldn't stop there. And I know there's so many people that kind of go, grab my checklist or whatever.
Yes.
And then they just send one email going, hi, here's your checklist. No.
So much more they can do. Absolutely.
So much more you can do because you want to get people to know, like, and trust you. You want to nurture your audience. You've all heard these words. And that's just it. So you should have really a minimum of 5 emails. I mean, you can have emails that go on for months, so it doesn't send something to a month later. Or, how are you finding that product that you bought from me? How are you finding that course that you signed up for? Have you completed it yet? So yeah, a minimum of kind of 5-day nurture sequence straight afterwards, just sharing a bit of information about you, because somebody might have just come across you, not know a thing about you, and you've just gone, hi, there you go, there's your checklist, and that's it. It's like, no, we turn around and we tell them a little bit more about us, why they should listen to us, why we know what we're talking about, our experience, and a little bit personal stuff. You don't need to go into everything, inside leg measurement and all that. Share whatever you're comfortable sharing. But yeah, that should be a minimum. But as I say, that email nurture if you want them to, which means that you're not having to manually follow up either. So yeah, automations all day long.
Absolutely.
That's just with regards to email marketing. I mean, you've got DM automations in Instagram to reply to comments and all sorts of things like that as well. But I think that's perhaps another conversation.
Yeah. But it saves us time, doesn't it? It allows us to, like you said, to nurture our audience and allow them to get to know a little bit more about us. I mean, I am one for automations. I am obsessed with them. I love them. I love everything. I say everything, but as much as you possibly can without losing that personal touch. But even when, like you said, with sort of nurturing sequences, for example, where you might not even necessarily be directly selling, it might quite simply be a nurture sequence where you've given them a freebie, and actually what you're doing is quite simply nurturing them, and you're still technically taking them on this buyer's journey to an extent, but more focused on giving the value and allowing them to get to know you more. So if they are interested, they can reach out. And that might be for people who are not necessarily launching anything, or they're not using it as a direct sales funnel. So many different ways that you can use automations and funnels and things, isn't there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Why wouldn't you? Exactly that. So if you are listening and you do not have automations, absolutely start looking at this. One thing that I think when it comes to emails, one of the things that people really struggle with is increasing their open rate, and then read rate, and then potentially even click rate, depending on what they've got in their emails. What advice can you give around this?
Okay, well, there are a few things that you can do. Probably the number one thing is your subject line.
Yeah.
If you've got a rubbish subject line and people have got quite a few emails in their inbox, they're not necessarily going to open it. So it needs to be a really enticing, short but sweet, to the point, but almost like a little bit like, oh, what's she talking about? What is this email from Kayleigh? So yeah, so subject lines are everything. There is a website called www.subjectline.com that you can kind of put in what you think you're going to use, and it will make it better for you. Or again, AI, ask them, turn around and go, I'm thinking of using this title. What do you think? And they'll tell you what they think, and hopefully make it better for you. So yeah, and also putting someone's first name in the title. So whatever it is, tell me, 100 ways to grow your email list in here, Natalie. Actually personalizing that title, not just personalizing the hello Natalie as a first line on an email, actually is proven to make more people open, because you're talking to them directly. So that's another thing. Keep your emails short. Don't send one email a month that's like 10 foot long. Send regular emails, be consistent. If they are shorter and more frequent, that is better. Somebody in your email list, if you're only emailing them once a month, that's 12 times a year out of 364 5 days. You're not going to stick in their mind. So rather than kind of do hi, it's February and I'm going to tell you everything that's going on in February, then cut it in 4 and send one a week if need be. More if you want to. There is no right and wrong and how many emails you should send, because we all subscribe to somebody who emails us every day. There'll be some brands out there that email you every day. You either, unless you unsubscribe, you're just kind of having a look and you're just filing them, aren't you? You still want to hear from them, but you might not be interested in what they've got in that day. So you can't actually email enough. 2 minutes. Well, you can 10 times a day, every day is too much. But yeah, so getting that personalization in as well. If you're a product-based business and they've bought a particular product, then referencing that again. We've talked about that. Sending it emails to a particular segment who's done something. Timing can be key too. So what time your audience likes to receive your emails. And a lot of these kind of email marketing providers now will tell you what times people do. or you have to test it. So, send an email on a Monday at 10 o'clock in the morning. The next one, send it on a Tuesday at midday. And the next one, send it on a Wednesday in the evening. And kind of just, you can start gauging an idea of when people are opening them more. And the biggest thing, focus on providing value. Please
Yes.
do not just send emails when you are selling something, because people get bored. If they're not interested in what you've got to buy, they just sit there and think, oh, she's just emailing me to sell me something
Yeah.
again, and I'm not interested. Unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So be consistent, whatever consistent means for you. So consistent could mean twice a month, it could mean every week, it might be 3 times a week, whatever consistent is with you, but keep that consistency. Doesn't have to be constant, just consistent, so people know when to expect your emails. And provide value. So, provide education. Just don't just sell. You can put a little PS and you can link to something if it, kind of relates to what you're talking about in your email, but don't just sell all the time. Provide value, education, entertainment, tell them a little bit more about you. It's your opportunity to get them to, again, know you a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with that last point. Providing value is one of the most important things. And I think just even as part of some of the email lists that I'm a part of, potentially not product-based businesses, but if I'm looking at services or service providers and coaches, email lists where they do provide value, and whether that's through, like you said, educational elements, whether it's sort of glances and snippets into what's working really well for them. I really like those as well. And lessons learned whilst doing this, because it's fascinating actually to get other people's perspectives and opinions on things. And I found that that is something that I'm really interested in reading, people's lessons, perspectives and opinions. So if you're completely stuck and you feel like you've shared your own personal story and journey a million times in your emails, think about what kind of thought leadership pieces and opinions can you bring to the table that will actually spark a little bit of curiosity and engagement in those emails, right?
Yeah. But exactly. And you will open those emails, won't you? Because you'll sit there and go, oh, I know that person. They send me the life lessons of what they've learned in the last week or whatever it is. Lessons they've learned from a launch, all those sort of things. And if you know that they send that and not just send sales emails, you're going to open them, aren't you?
Absolutely. And this links to kind of the next point what I was going to mention to you or ask you was about engagement, because I think with that value, it will support you in growing that engaged email list. Is there any other advice that you haven't yet touched on that would support our listeners in growing an engaged email list?
Oh, well, well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, the first way is obviously getting the right people in and on your list. So
Yeah.
by offering a high value lead magnet, whatever that is, I mean, to say it can be a checklist, it can be a guide, it can be a mini course, it can be a discount code, it can be whatever it is you want to, but kind of focus on one problem for one person at that moment in time. Don't try and do a lead magnet that solves the world's problems, just one. So you're talking to that specific person about that specific problem, because that that you can help, then you're going to get the right people on your list. You don't want to just send, you want a list of people who are interested in what you have to say, who want to stay on your list. You don't just want people who, well, they just signed up for a freebie and they're really not interested in what you've got to do. So making sure that your kind of entry into your email list is really important to make sure you get the right people on there. Promote it consistently and more than you think you should. I
Yeah.
know so many, just putting a link in bio is not enough to promote your
No.
email list. Even putting one post a week saying, oh, here's a nice lead magnet for you. You have to promote it way more. I think people say when they're launching, well, I've said a million times and still people don't see and still people don't know about it. So yes, there are hundreds of ways that you can grow your email list, but yeah, that is kind of the basics. Just making sure that you tell people way more than you should be. Also collaborations, so there are all sorts of things you can do. Very popular this year seems to be adding yourself to kind of bundles and summits that other people are doing, guest expert spots in other people's trainings, things like that. Podcast guest appearances are way up this year
Yeah.
and something that lots of people seem to be doing. The world and this mother seem to be wanting to be podcast experts, which is great for people like you who want to come and get experts on board as well. So it works both ways. But yeah, it is really just there are 100 ways to grow your email list.
Yeah.
Ding. Um, Might have a little something for you there on that, but yeah, but quality over quantity. There is absolutely no point in getting 10,000 people on your email list who aren't interested, who aren't your ideal client. It's better to have 100 people who are and absolutely love everything that you do, and want to hear from you, than having 10,000 on your list who don't even open your email list. So there's a few tips there.
Absolutely. And like you said, I know you're going to be sharing something a little bit later in the episode to help people with this, because I think it is something that people struggle with a little bit, and it's great to have some incredible ideas. So we'll come back to that point. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's talk about driving sales then. So you've talked a little bit about building an engaged email list, opening opening the emails. And then what about using email marketing to drive sales without feeling kind of spammy or over promotional? Because I know you've already said, oh, you don't want to just sell. So is there any advice that you can give our listeners about that?
Yeah, don't go the opposite way and only give value, and don't ever sell. There's a reason they're on there, and there's a reason that they want some help as well. So it is all about balance. If you kind of adopt the give more than you take mindset by providing value in your emails, then you can, when you do share something, it's almost seen as you're being helpful. Again, a lot of people might have heard the serve, don't sell.
Yes.
It is selling. The facts are you're trying to sell something, but you're also trying to serve your audience and solve a problem for them. So a lot of people will go, oh my goodness, I'm trying to sell this to them, when actually if you kind of reverse that and go, no, I'm actually helping these people with this particular problem, and this is the answer to make sure they get from A to B, whatever it is that you're doing, then yeah, you have to include some sales within your email marketing. But I think if you have nurtured your list, they like you, you've given value along the way, they are opening your emails because they know that you're sharing this value or education, then when it comes to you selling something, they won't immediately unsubscribe, because they understand that you're a business, they understand that you're going to sell to them at some stage, and they're going to understand that something that you have may well be of interest to you. So if you have kept that list engaged, then when it comes to selling, you don't overwhelm people and you don't get unsubscribers. Obviously in launching, you will be sending more emails than you would normally do. But again, if you can put a little thing that kind of says, this is, I'm going to be selling this. If you really don't want to hear from me, then you can just opt out of this bit. Then that's always nice. I think people appreciate that. No, I've done that course or whatever, so I don't need it again. Let me opt out of those messages. It's always a nice thing. And don't send an email about the course that you're trying to sell to people who have signed up for it. This week I have received so many emails from something that I bought 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, you don't need to keep selling it to me. I've got it. I'm there. You've already had my money. And I think that's a little bit of an element of unprofessionalism, that you're still sending that email to somebody who has bought it, and that can annoy someone. It annoyed me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've bought it. Just put a tag saying bought and don't send to those that have bought. But yeah, I think it is just that whole providing value, making your email a nice place to be, so that when you do come around to selling things, people are just like, oh, that's great. And they don't get irritated by you having a few more emails because they know you're launching something. But yeah, making sure that you sell. And obviously, if you are talking about things when you're doing educational or value posts, and you have got something that helps them, a mini course or something like that, then people read the PSs, scroll to the bottom, read the PS. So putting a little line in the bottom going, oh, if this is you, you might be interested in this. And that's it. It doesn't have to be a whole sales page in one email. If you're just linking to those things, and people will go, oh yeah, that is me, what's she talking about? Oh, I'll go and click over there, and then your sales page, it's all down to your sales page then to do its job. But yeah, you can sell, but just don't sell all the time.
I love that. Great advice around selling and how to not be too spammy, because none of us want to be spammy in our emails, right?
And also, I think that a lot of that is a mindset thing as well. We sit there and go, "Oh my God, I've told them about it twice. That's way too many times."
Yeah, it's fascinating. You know, it's fascinating you say that, because I just think of, I'm not going to mention the brand names. It's not a bad thing. I just don't want, I'm not going to
Yeah.
mention them, but there's a number of brands that I sign up to. They're beauty ones, where I get a lot of my beauty products from. And I probably get about 3 emails a day from them. And they're selling to me every single day, whether it's a discount code, whether it's get your latest, you know, X product with 20% off, whether it's, you know, whatever promotions they've got going. And you know, at no point do I think it's irritating or annoying. I don't open every single email, I must admit.
Yeah.
But
Because
it's
they don't add value. You know, they're just selling in every
just
email.
selling. In fact, they never tell me stories, those ones.
No. They need someone in their email marketing department.
They do, they do. But no, really
Yeah.
interesting, really great advice there. Let's kind of flip it to an extent and talk about some of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs or businesses make when it comes to email marketing. Is there anything that you've seen and anything that you would suggest to avoid?
I think we've kind of talked on quite a few of them. So one big mistake is literally sending an email when you're selling, and that's it,
Yes.
nothing in between. And that is the biggest kind of turn off. So biggest mistake, don't just do that. But we've talked about that. Neglecting segmentation. So
Yes.
not adding tags, not personalizing experiences for people on your list, not knowing those people who bought that course, bought that product, so that you can't give better value down the end. I mean, that's a big one. You know, you don't just have everybody come into your list and go into a tag that's all subscribers. You know, you absolutely can have an all subscribers that you send your newsletter to each week or whatever, but you must have all these other segments as well, just so you know you've got the information. It means that you know who the people are. You know, you're not going to remember otherwise. If they kind of come in, they bought a course and they've been added to your list for access to the course, and that you when you sit there and make that next step for them, or that, oh, they'd be really interested in this new thing I've made, you have no idea who they are. You can't, you're just doing, again, a general list. You're not saying, hi, you know, I remember that you had that. I hope you've been getting on really well with it, learned from it, used the product, whatever. You know, I've made this and this should be really, you know, would be really helpful for you. You've got none of that. You've got none of that. And so that is a really, really big thing that you should absolutely do. Inconsistency, you know, sending an email every week for 3 months and then not sending one for 3 months.
Yes.
Whatever your consistent is, stick to your consistent. Do not start by going, yeah, I'm going to send an email every day, like Kayleigh's beauty people, because it's non-sustainable. If you haven't done that before, you just won't be able to do it. Now, I do know people who send 3 emails a week, and that's fine. I used to send 1 a week. That's good for me. I'm coming into someone's inbox every week and they're seeing me. They haven't forgotten me in 7 days, but they might have forgotten about me in 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. So pick your consistent and start at the easier end. So again, instead of saying I'm going to do 3 a week, do 1 a month. It's not ideal, but it's actually better than nothing. Then try and go to 2 a month, then try and go to weekly. But remember, these do not have to be long. These could be a top tip. They could also be something that you have used in a blog post, some reels that you've done that you're just sharing, because not everybody, as we know, sees everything. So it can be, you know, share your content around, make sure that you're not making something different for Instagram, that you're making for Facebook, that you're writing for your blog, that you're writing for your newsletter. In an ideal world, your whole marketing strategy should be something for the month, and all posts or blogs or newsletters should be covering that. And there's nothing wrong with going, oh, did you see my Instagram post over here? This is what I kind of shared, or click here, go and follow me on Instagram. It can be something as short and simple as that. So don't feel overwhelmed that you have to do some great big long email every week. And just making sure that you test and learn. So email service providers, they give you stats and data and things like that. You'll find people who aren't on your list, get rid of them after a certain amount of time. There's ways to do that. And which obviously just make sure that your deliverability rate goes up if you've got people that are actually, you know, an engaged list rather than an unengaged list. And just have a look at the analytics of, you will be able to see who's clicking on what links, how many people are clicking on those links, how many people are opening, how can I get my open rate up, and all that sort of thing. So not looking at data and changing things is another mistake.
Do you know what? It's interesting you say that, because I am obsessed with data. I all
I feel we're
aspects.
kindred spirits here.
Nothing fascinates me more than looking at data and looking at analytics and seeing what works, what doesn't work. Because ultimately, you know, with running a business, I mean, obviously we've got our creative side of our businesses, which I absolutely love, and I love delivering and supporting my clients. But when I have a spare 20 minutes in between coaching calls and things, I often do bring up data, whether that's sales data, whether it's conversion data, whether it's email marketing data. And I am fascinated by it. It teaches you so much, doesn't it, when you learn the analytics of side of the business.
Absolutely. And these systems will do it for you. You know, they'll give you your conversion rates if you're selling something. They'll give you your open
Yeah.
rates.
You don't have to physically work or mentally work it out. No, they give you the data. Yeah.
So many people don't look. So many people don't look.
So
And you
right.
can always play a game with yourself. How can I increase my open rate this week?
Exactly. Set yourself a challenge. I love doing things like that. How can you grow your email list? How can you, you know, increase your open rate, increase your click rate? Like, there's so many different challenges you could do, or goals you could set yourself. Oh, I love it. There we go. In fact, everyone listening, create yourself a goal for your email marketing over the next couple of weeks or maybe even a month. I think that would be a great opportunity for everyone.
Absolutely.
You know, Natalie, it's been such an incredible conversation and so much value that you've given our listeners here. What's your final piece of advice to our listeners?
Oh, I could be cheeky. I've got a list, 100 ways to grow your email list, and there will be so many things on there that are so easy for you to do that you won't be doing, that you can just go and implement straight away. Not all 100, but a good percentage of them that don't take long, that are quick and easy to do, and they're all there for you. So my top tip, go and download my 100 ways to grow your email list, and you'll learn way more.
I love this. And that link is currently in the show notes. So please go and click on it and download, and go and connect to Natalie as well. Where can our listeners find you and connect with you?
So website is www.natalieoshea.co.uk. I'm on Instagram as well under, what am I under? Now you're asking me. I've just changed it. That's why I'm sitting there going, oh, what is it? Business Simplified is the name, because that's what I'm all about this year. I'm all about making sure that, you know, business is simplified. We've made it way too complicated and way too hard. My thing this year is, let's just simplify these things. It doesn't have to be difficult.
I love this. Make sure you go and connect with Natalie. She's incredible at what she does. And absolutely go to the show notes and download her incredible list of 100 ways to grow your email list. I'm very excited to see this myself, actually. It sounds incredible. Final question, Natalie, if this is okay. What is your one word of the year and why?
Oh, I have actually got one. I don't normally do one. But my word of the year is growth. And that was growth in everything, in my business, in myself.
I love that.
I'll leave it there.
Amazing. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
That's all right.
And thank you so much to everyone that's tuned into today's episode. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast with me, your host, Kayleigh Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow, and scale your dream six-figure or multi-six-figure business, then head to our website now for more information, or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.